Hello, grade 11. Now for something completely new. You're going to write a procedure that has reference parameters, they call them. In other words, parameters, those things in brackets, that actually get changed and get returned back to the calling program. We've dealt with parameters in methods, but now we're going to write a procedure that's going to act a bit like a function and a procedure at the same time. Right, so this procedure is going to receive a cell phone number and test to see if it's valid. Now, how are we going to find out if it's valid? Well, in the previous activity, it says the number must be 10 characters, okay, and the first character must be a naught. So remember I told you that cell phone numbers are always going to be strings, telephone numbers are strings, any phone number is a string, same as an ID and so on, they're all strings. We keep them as strings, and the user's going to type in a number over there, start with a 0 and must be 10 characters long. And we're going to test each one, but let's go and write our procedure first, shall we? Our procedure header must receive the number. Okay, let's go and write procedure valid. I'm going to call it valid cell. It's going to receive the cell phone number, okay, then it must return a true or false message, okay, a boolean value and a string message to explain why it's invalid. So it's got to return, a procedure is going to return something. It's only going to receive SL. SL is not going to be returned, it's receiving SL, and it's going to return a boolean variable. I'll call it bval colon boolean, but I put a var in front of the variable name. Can you see that? And then it must also return a message as well. So var s message colon string. So that is how you write the parameter list of variables that are going to be returned in a procedure. So a procedure sort of acts like a function, doesn't it? It's returning something, bval and s message. Strange but true. So there's the parameter list. A string, a boolean and another string is going to go in there, and those values are going to change and come back. So we're going to highlight it. If it has a var in front of the parameter list, then you know those items are going to be changed inside our procedure and then go flying back to the calling program. Right, so S cell is what's being tested. So we're going to say if length of S cell is not equal to 10, then we're going to do something. We're going to say bval. Where's bval come from? There it is. Remember that the parameter list variables, they act like local variables inside your procedure that you're writing. So I'm going to say bval over there. We're going to say bval equals false. And we're also going to say s message equals, and we're going to write a string, only say cell phone numbers must be 10 characters, 10 digits. Okay, now, oops, S message is a string, not in brackets. So S message. So the var bval is going to be set to false, and the var S message, that one, is going to be set to that. If the first character S cell, character number 1, if that's not equal to a naught, and you put a naught, the number naught, okay, in single inverted commas, then we're going to have another set of we're going to set bval equal to false, and the cell phone number must begin with a naught. With naught. So that's what we've done. But what about if everything is true? Well, I'm going to use else here. Else. If, and then another else over here. We're going to set, so that else meaning we're going to test that. So if the length of the cell is equal to 10, then we'll test this. But if that is correct, we're going to do the following. We'll say bval equals true, and the message is cell phone correct. Bval equals true. So this last else is going to have those reference parameters. They call them reference parameters or variable parameters of this function are going to be set to cell phone number correct and bval will be true. Okay, something similar to that. So I used if then and else, if then and else. So it's only one of those things are going to happen. Okay, if the length is not 10, this is going to happen, and everything else, the rest of that function, not function, it's a procedure, the rest of the function won't take place because that else is going to make sure that nothing else is going to happen. Right, now we're going to go to our btn test click. We're going to test this number and that number and this number, and we're going to display it in the rich edit. You know what's the result of all of that. Now to find out what the input must look, the output, sorry, we're going to say rich edit.lines.add. We've got to go and check each one. The thing is, we've got three numbers to check. Okay, so we've got to check EDT student, EDT father, EDT mother. Right, let's go get some variables for that. VAR is student, is father, is mother, just to shorten typing time, equal to EDT student dot text is father equal to, getting the input, and is mother equals EDT mother dot text. Right, so now we've got to go and send the cell number to each one. So we're going to call the procedure valid cell. How do we call a procedure? We just write it like that. Valid cell. Let's go and first check S student. But we have to put a Boolean variable in there. Can you see the tooltip? We have to put a Boolean variable there and a string there. So we better go and declare some Boolean variables to hold that. B check colon Boolean. I'm making them local here to the button test event. S line colon string. Now these B check and S line are not given any values, but as soon as we call valid cell, okay, let's go do it again. Valid cell, open brackets. What do we have there in the tooltips? We've got to put in the cell number first. So, okay, I'm going to check STUD, comma, I'm going to put B check inside there for our Boolean variable. See B check, I declared it there. B check, oops, not M check, B check. That is my local variable for this button click event, comma, and then S message. I'm going to use S line over there. I didn't give them any values, but because these are VAR parameters of valid cell procedure, they're going to be returned with values, and then we can go and display them in the rich edit. So let's go and display red out dot lines dot add. But before we go and do anything, we've got to go and check if bcheck, if this is returned true after it went to valid cell. If bcheck equals false, then we're going to add the S line to the rich edit. Well, we're going to add S line to the rich edit anyway, but we also have to add student cell number is incorrect, and then we're going to add the S line. That's if bcheck is false. If bcheck is true, well, we'll say else, we'll say we're just going to basically add S line because it'll be true. We'll just add whatever S line is. Now remember, S line comes back, it's the message. What did we have? Cell phone correct number. I'm going to write student cell phone. Or we could even go and, display the cell phone. In the actual they're using a display event. They made a procedure of the display event. So there's different ways of doing this. I'm using test valid cell, and I'm not going to use a display event. They're using a display result. We're just going to keep it a 1. I don't want to make it too complicated for you. But just remember that each time you're going to basically be checking the valid cell for the student, and then you're going to do valid cell for the father. So S father, and then we're going to write father cell number, and then we're going to do the same thing for the mother. We're going to call the valid cell for the mother S mother, and you just can change this to mother. So in this method, in this activity, I'm only doing one procedure with variable or reference parameters, so you don't get confused too much. It is quite tricky because you have to remember that if you have a variable or reference parameter in your parameter list of a procedure, you might have to create some local variables here when you call it, to go and put it into those brackets. So now we're using bcheck there when it came from, it took the student number, the student cell number, and bcheck and S line was sent to valid cell, and they came back with values, either true or false, and S line will then display depending on what those values are. So then I just copied and pasted for the father's cell phone number and the mother's cell phone number, and just changed a couple of things. Right, let's go and run the program, see how it works. Okay, I'm going to put O, and I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to put one there. Now we test. Now we can see that the student number is correct, the father's cell phone incorrect, and the mother's cell phone incorrect. Okay, so father's cell number is incorrect, cell phone number must be 10 digits. What if we make it 10 digits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but it's supposed to have, let's make it, that there's no naught. Right. Student number is correct. Father's son is incorrect. So cell phone number must be 10. Cell phone number must be 10. Let's go and run it again. Let's go and double check how. Must begin with naught. Okay. Alright, let's run it again. Put in something else. Ten digits. That's 10 digits. Okay, let's test now. There we go. The student's cell phone number is correct. Yes. The father's incorrect because the cell phone number must begin with naught. And the mother's incorrect because it must be 10 digits. But it did begin with naught, but it had to be 10 digits. So there you go. Works perfectly fine. And try that by yourself without looking.